Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing Season 3, Episode 1 of You. The Netflix series sensation. I don't have the original date that it was premiered, but let me see if I can find it real quick. Television, same name, premiered on September 9th, 2018 is when the pilot first premiered. And it was not an initial hit originally. It premiered on Lifetime and was eventually moved to Netflix a year later, 2019, where it really took off on season 2 as well. So basically, if you haven't followed the first 2 seasons of You, I would highly suggest go ahead and check those out if you're interested. It's an entertaining show, slightly problematic when it comes to the obsessive nature that is of Joe Joe Goldberg, played by Penn Bagley. But I gotta say that it is entertaining. It's I wouldn't say it's like a super cultural phenomenon like the Squid Game was. It feels like every time there's a big show on Netflix, everyone's like, it's the bros' biggest, best new thing ever. And I don't disagree with that. I think I did enjoy season 2 a little bit more than season 1, just because they improved just about everything about it. It's more refined, better storytelling, looks better, sounds better. The acting on the front sides and the co-stars is better in the second season. So what's in store for season 3? Basically, what we find out at the end of season 2 is that he has basically fallen for a lady that is, her name is Love, and he is in love with Love until he finds out what love is all about. And we find out that she's essentially as psychotic as Joe is. Joe being this obsessive, natured. I want to say that he thinks he's way smarter than he actually is. He is kind of like this like creepy, um, creepy, excessive, compulsive nature to him that some women and men, I could say, maybe they would find it somewhat attractive on one level, but when it gets to the point where it's super obsessive, it's almost super problematic. But anyways, with saying that, we found out basically he's in love with the female version of himself, and he finds out how terrible that can actually be. And on top of that, she's got tons of highly dysfunctional family things going on at the end of during season 2. Go back and check that podcast out to kind of get more of a refined take on season 2. But we did cover season 1 and season 2 of You, and so we're picking up off of season 3, episode 1. With saying all that, let me see if I can get season 3 back up. I had season 2 up. So, season 3 of You is taking place in the third season. Is Joe and Love are married and raising their newborn son, Henry, in the California suburb of Madre Linda. As their relationship dynamic takes a turn, Joe continues to repeat the cycle of obsession, burgeoning interest in Natalie, the next door neighbor. This time, Love will flip the script to ensure that her dream of having the perfect family will not be torn away so easily by Joe's compulsive actions. So, this first episode, I think just like the rest of the seasons, I think they are all about 10 episodes each, about an hour long. I think they might have extended the time from when it was on Lifetime. I think Lifetime was probably about 40 minutes, and now it's about an hour long. That is a chunky 50 minutes to an hour sometimes, I feel like the show could serve from a little bit of a quick edit, just from like, I understand that we're kind of living in the world, and it kind of feels like where it's luxurious, everything's kind of dreamlike, and until the pacing really picks up, it can be kind of slow. And I think I did have that kind of small critique on the for previous two seasons, that I was like, all right, this is really, there's a lot of like romanticizing of of situations and people, and being in other situations, not being married in your own situation, and having, wanting to be in a different situation, that different situations, that type of thing. um I totally get that, and I can see the appealing nature of it. This show is very much grinding the gears and riding the rails of all of the young people that are. I know that it's probably appealing to younger, more teenage demographics, and more millennial ages and Gen Zs. Not so much probably boomers as much, but especially millennials at this point, because a lot of them are having kids at this time, and so a lot of them can relate to the things that are happening in this first episode. This first episode is almost 50%, how to be a family, how to run a family, and then 50%, the actual show of you and him being, this kind of compulsive, obsessive, psycho, uh, psycho individual. But so yeah, with saying all that, um, I enjoyed the first episode. It wasn't like life changing or anything like that. I think it's shot really well. The composure, the composure, the composition of the colors of this show are very nice. I think that you can see that they've clearly put the time into it to make sure that it's not just a show on Netflix that feels like it's kind of for a young adult fandom of that sort. It feels a little bit more than that. It feels more like prestige young adult in a way, if that's possible. But anyways, I honestly think that the new characters that are going to be involved in this first episode and this third season are going to be very beneficial. We have Victoria Pedretti coming back as full time. The full-time regulars to reprise their roles, as well as the grandmother, who was played by Saffron Burrows. Um, we also are gaining some new talent: Selena Grant, Travis Van Winkle, Dylan Arnold, and Tati Gabriella, and Michaela McManus, which portrays Joe's new neighbor. Um, the episodes, 10 episodes, and yes, and this was one of the shows out of many that were delayed highly because of COVID. In December 2020, the production of the third season was suspended for 2 weeks due to the COVID pandemic, and then resumed in February 2021. So, actually, it wasn't quite as a pushback as I thought. I thought it was months, not weeks. But yeah, not too bad. So, this first episode really tees us off into the direction we're going to be going in. And like I said, we're going to be talking about spoilers for this first episode, which does give us basically the reasoning for the entire season. And that is, Joe is stuck in family life. He's got a baby. Oh my gosh, he's changing the diapers. He's trying to be a family man. We got Joe playing like this Dexter type character, but his wife is basically the same character he is, and so they're both like super unstable in so many different ways. So the whole thing is, Joe, we saw this at the end of the season 2, is that Joe is trying to live this normal life, and it's not so much like spoilers or anything like that, because we see at the end of season 2, it's kind of like a flash forward of them living this married life in California and these suburbs, and him having to push down the impulses of wanting to become obsessive over his attractive neighbor. So we do get a glimpse of that at the end of season 2, which are like, God dang it, Joe, we thought you were gonna be done doing all this fucking craziness, but he just can't stop old Joe. So with saying that, it's essentially the unfolding of with the repercussions of that of the ending of season 2. What happens? Joe actually does become obsessed with his neighbor, and of course his wife. And I don't want to say his crazy wife, because he's just as crazy too. He can't be a crazy wife without a crazy husband in this situation, and so I don't want to like pin that on her. But she's psychologically unstable just as much as Joe is. So, but with saying that, she's also is like in depth and detailed. Like she's going through and finding all of the. We're talking about spoilers for this first episode now. She's at the end of this first episode, we find out that, damn it, they need couples therapy like yesterday. They are going to have to deal with the disappearance of their neighbor who has been murdered by his wife, Love. Love takes a hatchet to the very attractive neighbor's throat. And what is her name? Wait, is Saffron Burrows? No. She's not the attractive neighbor. Michaela McManus, yeah, who plays Natalie. So Natalie is directly in the jugular by Love, and with doing that, it's like, oh fuck, it's like, oh, it's game on. And it's almost kind of done like a joke. It's like she delivers a joke after she does this marriage therapy counseling thing. And yeah, Love is basically murdered Natalie after she finds out that Natalie lied about having Joe over, and Joe had said other things. He had said, I had a drink with her, and she had said otherwise. And so she was like, that's it. That's going to be your ass, Natalie. Love ain't got time for this shit. And so literally she takes the axe when she's looking at so let me rewind a little bit. Hit the rewind on it real quick. So we'll do a podcast flashback. So Joe is really struggling through this episode to even have a connection with his son, which I believe he said he was going to have a daughter at the end of that for second season. I wonder why they changed it to a son. I feel like there was a writing reason why maybe so that the son would eventually have to fight with becoming like his dad or something like in the future. I think that they might have been doing that type of, reflection, like when, if they hypothetically have this show going for another few years, they're like, all right, we don't want we want his son to try to start murdering people in the same realm like he is? Do we want to have some sort of reflection of that way? I don't know. But so anyways, they changed the gender of the baby from second season to this one to a boy. Joe's having problems connecting with his son, the baby, being his son, and Love is, I would kind of say it feels like she's going a little bit through postpartum, but also Joe's not awesome. He's not being a great father in the same sense. I feel like he's kind of being disconnected. He's not being like there and connecting with her all the sorts. And again, he doesn't really want to be. He's kind of, I mean, I think he even says like he's in jail at one point, and he like feels like he's locked down, and he kind of applies that same narrative to Natalie, his neighbor, who is married to Baz from Scott Speedman, is Natalie's husband. We only get like one glimpse of him, but I've been watching Animal Kingdom, so I was so excited to see Scott Speedman cross over into the universe. I just finished Animal Kingdom season 2, so I know that this guy can deliver some pretty good lines. I'm not gonna lie, I like him as an actor. He's not great. The character in Animal Kingdom's not great, but Scott Speedman's a pretty good actor, and I think he's going to continue to grow and progress as an actor, especially on here. We've only seen the beginning of him. I know that he's going to have he's one of those characters that you don't want to get on his bad side. So I think we're going to have a Scott Speedman spaz in the future. I'm just going to go ahead and call that out. Anything else that we need to discuss about this episode? So the baby, Joe is not having a connection with his son. There's something really going wrong with it. Love is kind of going through her own stuff, trying to make her own friends. I know that there's a quick line about her brother who she's lost not too long ago. I think he committed suicide, if I remember correctly. Um, I need to go back and watch that last episode, what happened to 40. But also there is this incredible guilt that is happening. He keeps calling his son 40 on accident instead of Henry. And so it's kind of like this guilt that's kind of bleeding into him, bleeding over into the reality of what's happening for Joe. But yeah, so there was a lot of there was a handful of plot contrivances in season 2. I didn't notice any in this episode yet. Just super conveniences and stuff like that. I know that there was a couple that I felt like it was a little bit like shuffly with Natalie and Joe. I was like, is it a will they, won't they? I was like, these are kind of hot people. I kind of did want to see it, not gonna lie. I was a little bit bummed that they didn't make didn't have like a hot sex scene or something like that. But I was surprised that honestly Joe was the one that said, I can't do this. He was going to be the bigger man, and I was very proud of Joe in that moment. But it ended up still coming back to bite Natalie in the ass. But yeah, Natalie was like totally feeling Joe the entire time. Cameras off, feeding them all, giving them a big ass box of condoms. So I was like, what the hell? That was the most random shit I'd ever seen. It's like, so she was thinking about there's like a giant box of condoms. There's like, she went and bought him like diapers for the baby. It's like, oh goodness, she was trying really hard and leaving like books and stuff for him to read. I mean, it was everything that Joe likes. She was like leaving him breadcrumbs almost. But yeah, it was bad news bears where that was going, and we all see where that ended up at the end of this. Um, so let me think. Anything else? Yeah. So we have the friends loves friends. They kind of feel like generic new friends. They have like a new group of friends every season. I remember the first group of friends I was not crazy about was Beck and her friends. All kind of felt like stereotypical stand-in friends. Mean Girls kind of thing. Got the preppy one, the funny one, the geeky one. That kind of thing. It feels like that kind of realm. So we have that, and we find out obviously the main one. I don't remember her name. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The main lady that is running the show, college. Is that her without the Sherry? Oh, okay. So Selena Grant. Selena Grant is the social media mom of the neighborhood, and she's kind of like the ringleader. You got to be on her good side, even though she's kind of an asshole. And so I think we're gonna have some sort of big collision with Love and this lady Sherry. I like this actress Selena Grant. She played a lawyer in Search Party season 4, I believe, and she was hilarious. I thought her comedic timing is very on point, and she kind of has this very kind of preppy, very up to, got to do it, snap up to, attitude of her characters that she plays in at least these two shows I've seen, because it feels like she's playing almost the same character. High class, got to do it on time, got to do it right, that type of thing. And I like that as a character, just to watch her play that. So anyways, what else do we have? The friends, and we find out the Sherry and her friends may not be all that. And ironically, Natalie was being friends with Love, which kind of sucks. I honestly thought that Love and Natalie were gonna have some sort of like connection. I was very surprised about that. So there was a few scenes I was like, oh, love. It's not gonna be Joe and Natalie. It's gonna be a Love and Natalie. And I was like, ooh, this might even be better than the first sex scene I had in my. I was like, oh god dang. I was like, you got a lot of attractive people on screen now. But I was thinking this is probably pretty crazy. They definitely had to shoot all of the majority of this during COVID, so um, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with it. And yeah, we got the California suburb vibe. I just wanted to talk about that. I know that I think the first season was in New York, second season like in LA, and now we're kind of like in the middle of LA. Not middle of California. I don't know if we're even in LA anymore, but it's all had very different aesthetics from the look and the feel and the color palette of it. From the warm tones to the cooling the cool greens of the trees and stuff like that. I like the cinematography in this show. Generally done pretty well. So trying to think if there's anything else. I think we've pretty much covered this first episode to the degree that I want to. I know that we talked about Joe and Natalie. They kind of had a thing, but Joe pushed her away. He said that's it. So Love came in, found out about it at that party, and then Love went and Natalie in the neck, and that's essentially what happened this first episode. It's only a handful of big plot points that actually happen, and a lot of it is character building and plot setting up. Setting up the pieces of what's going on in this season. So let me know what you thought about season 3, episode 1. Let me know what you thought about the review. Let's see if anyone has any good predictions and you have not seen it. I know it's really easy to go ahead and say, well, I predict this happens here and this happens here. And it's like, all right, well, obviously you've already seen the shit. But anyone that has not seen it, I always like having kind of like a first take, first impression, because it's fun to kind of guess what happens throughout the whole thing. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get an axe in the throat? Who's going to make it out alive? That kind of thing. I like guessing that stuff. I don't have anyone right off the top of my head. Oh yeah, we did have some flashbacks with young Joe, kind of giving him motivation of why Joe wants to be a good father to the baby, even though he's not connecting with him on a level. He wants him to have a better life than he did. He's bullied and had all these types of terrible things happen to him that we've seen in previous seasons. But yeah, and his upbringing with his folks, or with I think his mother, that they kept saying that she was supposed to be coming back, that never did or whatever. So yeah, he wants to be a better father than a better parent than what was given to him when he was growing up and stuff like that. So anything else we need to cover? I think we've covered just about all of it. I can't really think about anything else. I'm looking at all these characters. Don't see anything. So yeah, let me know what you thought about the review. Let me know what you thought about the podcast. Patreon.com/LuckyDog Podcast for all the other reviews. You got TV, movies, media, Aftercast when we talk about things that are non movie and TV related, or if it's like bonus stuff, that's all in there. Patreon will get you all of the podcast early. So you could have been listening to this probably maybe even a day or two earlier, maybe even a week earlier, depending on when it's dropped. But normally how we do these shows for Netflix, especially if they're 10 episodes, is we try to get the first episode under our belt, and then we will watch the last episode and then podcast as well. And we'll have a nice little wrap. So be sure to check out LuckyDogPodcast.com for exclusives. You can get full podcasts on patreon.com, full library there. You can get movies that have been reviewed that are over 5 years old. You can get the full review on patreon.com/LuckyDogPodcast for $1. You get $2, and then you got a $5 tab for the people that want to have the full library, $5 a month. You can do it 1 month and cancel. That's completely cool if you don't want to have to continue to pay for it. It won't hurt my feelings, but every nickel, penny, Dogecoin, whatever the cryptocurrency, all of it helps. Trust me, it keeps the lights on. It shows me that I know that people want to be engaged. People like the content and they want more of it. You like what you see, you're gonna get more. thumbs up, subscribe. You know what to do. Paulie D, Paulie G, we out. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Also wanted to mention that we have the Mad Max series. We've covered the first Mad Max, what is it, 1979? Is that what that is? On Patreon. It's a Patreon exclusive, available right now. We have all of the Matrix movies, the first three. We have discussed them in detail. Squid Game, Outer Banks, Clickbait on Netflix, brand new cherry flavor, all sorts of reviews, all available. LuckyDogPodcast.com. Get them early at patreon.com/LuckyDogPodcast. Take it easy.